Okay. So this is part two of the anxious preoccupied attachment style. And I'm doing a part two because I think that in part one we all kind of understand where it comes from and it stems from. But I think in me doing part two, I want to just kind of go a little bit more to understand how do we heal from it, okay? And I think a lot of times when a lot of us do have this anxious preoccupied attachment style, for one, I always say this in everything starts with forgiveness too, okay? So yes, it stems from our childhood, it stems from birth, from as us being little boys and little girls and not having our emotional needs met and not having that emotional connection and not feeling emotional secure when it came to our parents. But what we also have to understand too is that our parents did the best they could to give us the best that they could, okay? So if their parents only did the best they could, our parents only gave us what they knew. So you have to always step back out of your own self, out of your own body for a minute and understand that your parents, our parents, they did the best to their ability, you know? And all we can do now as adults is do the internal work to heal so that we can become more healthy internally, so that when we do go into these relationships now, that we're not going in with these anxious attachment styles, you know, and that we're not constantly stepping into romantic relationships or friendships with people that's emotionally unavailable, okay? And so I will start off saying this, that if you have an anxious, preoccupied attachment style, man or woman, romantically, 9 times out of 10, the best type of partner you should probably connect with is a person that has a secure attachment style. Now, to the average person, they would say, well, why would somebody with a secure attachment style want to be with somebody with an anxious attachment style, right? But that's the whole purpose of you doing the internal work on yourself. Okay, so I'm not saying that you just go jump, that you're gonna find somebody that want to be with you that has a secure attachment style, but and some people do, because some people with secure attachment styles have connected with people with that anxious attachment style, and they have worked together to actually help each other. You know what I'm saying? And the anxious attachment style person, you know, has come and done better as far as internally with what they needed to work on. So the point is that when you have the anxious attachment style, you normally want to be able to romantically be involved with somebody that has a secure attachment style. But a lot of times when it comes to that, you yourself personally have to do the internal work. You cannot get in a romantic relationship with a secure attachment style person and think that they need to do the work for you. You can't. That's why I feel like sometimes if God have you in a season where you're in your single season, or you're in a season where you just by yourself, or you just whatever season you're is, that's why God has you in a season, okay? Even when you look at singles, okay, all of us at one time or another in our adulthood has been in a season of being single. I'm a firm believer of, if you take advantage of your season of singleness, and if you really do the internal work and really allow God to really get to the root of a lot of your issues internally, then you can actually heal in your time of singleness. You can actually really do a lot of internal work. You can actually really allow God to go deep within you so that you can heal from a lot, okay? But a lot of the times when you have this anxious attachment style, you are more quicker to jump in and out of relationships, and pay attention to that. Because with a person that has this anxious attachment style, you notice they always in and out of relationships, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Men and women. A man will jump a woman to woman to woman to woman. A woman will jump man to man to man. And the reason why is because when that one person don't meet their emotional needs, they jump to another one. When that person don't meet it, they jump to another person. And it's going to constantly be like a merry-go-round. It's going to constantly be like a cycle that you're going to always go in, jumping man to man, woman to woman, until you finally take the time for yourself to heal internally. Nobody can heal you. No man can heal a woman with this anxious attachment style. No woman can heal a man when he has this anxious attachment style. You can only allow God to heal you internally and do the internal work to heal for yourself within. That's where the healing begins. Sometimes it may mean you have to go back and revisit those childhood wounds, those childhood traumas, those childhood pains, that disconnect that you felt from your mother and your father, that those emotional needs that never got met as a child. Sometimes you're going to have to go back and revisit that pain, because when you can revisit those tragic and hard and trauma moments, that's healing. Because you're no longer fearing to go back to those places that once wounded you, but you're willing to go back to those places so you can face them head on, and so you can get a new perspective. Because you got to understand that if God is going to take you back to something old, it's because, or a trauma or something that wounded you, it's because now God is showing you, I need you to see with a whole new set of eyes, okay? I need you to see with a whole new perspective in this situation. So how do you see with a new set of eyes? How do you see with a new perspective when your emotional needs have been deprived since birth, or when you was a child? As you sit back and you see with a new set of eyes and your perception is different, you step back out of your own body and understand that I get why my mother couldn't give me that emotional connection. I get why my daddy couldn't give me that emotional connection. Nobody never taught them. So how can they give me something that was never taught to them? So I don't blame them, but I can see it with a new set of eyes. I can see it in a different perspective now. To understand that I do believe my parents wanted to give me that. They just didn't know how. And so now I can look at my mother, I can look at my father with a new set of eyes. I can look at the whole situation in a different perspective and understand that now I can figure out just how to heal from it now. Now I can let God genuinely and authentically heal me and understand that it's nobody's fault. My parents just didn't know. And when you can see with a new set of eyes to understand that more, you can begin to come into your romantic relationships that you was involved in. And you can begin to see yourself, not your partner, but yourself. You can begin to look at yourself as the reflection in the mirror and begin to understand why you had this attachment style, where it came from, and why you kept drawing and stepping into relationships and friendships with people that was emotionally unavailable to you. And once you can get a new set of eyes, once you can have a perception, a totally different perception, I promise you your whole world will change. I promise you your whole reality will change. I promise you, you will be able to heal internally in more ways than one than you ever thought or imagined. I promise you, you'll begin to see your creativity. You'll begin to want to protect your energy more. You'll begin to want to look at your purpose and your goals and what you need to do for you more. I promise you, your self-confidence, your self-worth, your self-value, your self-respect, you honoring yourself, you honoring who God is in you, you will begin to build up more than you ever imagined. Why? Because you were willing to see with a new set of eyes. You were willing to go back to that trauma or that wound or that pain and get a new perspective of it now. And that's what changes. That's the game changer. That's it. That's the game changer. Because now you can begin the internal work. But what stops our process from really, really moving forward, what stops us from really healing effectively, like, I'm sorry, it's kind of bright, y'all. Hold on. But what stops us a lot of the time when it comes to healing effectively like we need to is the fact that we are willing to step back and say, okay, what is it that I need to do now? How do I heal effectively? What do I do to heal effectively? Okay. So when we have this understanding, then we'll have more of a depth of what we need to do. I always say this. See, when you heal at one level, it's going to be another level you got to heal at. When you heal at this level, you got to heal again at another level. Now, when you heal this level, you got to heal at another level. It's always going to be another layer of healing for us. It's never going to end. Not until we leave this earth, okay? But we're never going to stop healing. Never. So that's why it's vital, it's important that when you're in your season, or when you recognize that you have this type of attachment style, it's vital that you take the time to do the internal work to heal. You take the time to go back and heal that little girl, that little boy. Because I promise you, that's all that it stems from. I hope it's not too dim, y'all. I hope it's not too dim. I could open the blinds back up. But that's why it's important for us to understand that you have to go back and heal that little boy and that little girl that's inside of you that's still wounded and hurt. See, that's all that the anxious attachment style comes from. It comes from you being wounded as a little boy or a little girl, emotionally deprived, your emotions, your emotional needs not met, you're not feeling emotionally secure. That's all that it stems from. And then we bring it into romantic relationships or friendships, expecting people to take on the role to meet our emotional needs and make us feel secure. And you can't put that job on nobody else. You just can't. So understand that when we are in the position to recognize if you have this type of attachment style, really, really understand that you don't have to stay in that state of mind. You know, you don't have to. I'm gonna open the blinds up a little bit more. I'm sorry. Understand that you don't have to stay in that attachment style. You know, you don't have to stay in that state of having this ancient attachment style, because at the end of the day, you have all the room and the opportunity to heal effectively. And you got to understand that if you're not healing effectively, then you're going to always take this type of attachment style into another romantic relationship. Okay? And then it's going to be another dysfunctional situation. So you have to understand that if you want to heal from this attachment style, you have to really, really go back and heal that little girl and that little boy internally that's within you. You have to go back and revisit those traumas and those wounds where you felt emotionally deprived, emotionally unsecure, you know, you felt emotionally not connected. You have to go back and revisit those things so that you can heal that little boy and that little girl that's inside of you, so that that little boy and that little girl that's inside of you can go ahead and let go, so that you can become this healthy young man or this healthy young lady. And so that when you step into your romantic relationships or your friendships this time, it won't be based off of an anxious attachment style, but it'll be based off a secure attachment style. And that's what the goal is. So I always say, if God is showing us something about ourselves, if God is revealing something to us about ourselves, it's because God is ready for us to heal from it too. You know what I'm saying? Like when God was showing me that I had this anxious, preoccupied attachment style, I didn't realize mine really at first until I didn't realize the depths of it. Like when I say mine was like, it was deep, like many layers. It was just deep shit. And when I say to you that I probably really started to get deep into everything that I'm getting into now, that's why I can sit here and talk to y'all about it. I got deep into mine to really do the internal work on myself maybe a year and 3 months ago. And it was after I lost my boyfriend in a car accident like a year and 3 months ago. So after that, I took time, and I'm still taking time. I really am, to still do the internal work on myself. But what I am determined to do is to stay focused on healing. Stay focused on doing the internal work to heal that little girl on the inside of me, so that I can go into my next phase of my life, and I can go into the next phase of my life healthy, effectively, and with a secure attachment style, you know? So when I say to you that the work of healing this anxious attachment style, it takes work, but yes, it is possible on every level. And I just firmly believe with God, you can do all things. God can heal you from things that another person, another human being cannot. You know, God can take you deep into the root that another human being cannot. So I just encourage everybody to understand that if you have this attachment style, take time to heal internally. Take time to heal that little girl, that little boy that's on the inside of you, that's been wounded from a lot of stuff from childhood. Because if you don't, you're going to constantly always end up in dysfunctional relationships, and you're never going to be genuinely happy. You can pretend to be happy, but you're never genuinely going to be heart happy. And so that is why I wanted to come on and do the second part of the video, because this is what we all are. This is what you want to come to. You want to come to a place of self-confidence. And even down to me doing this video and giving my own experience and what I've been through with this attachment style. Now, I think that for me, I'm coming more into having that secure attachment style. Now, I'm not saying I don't have traits still there, but I recognize those traits quicker because I'm more aware. And when I'm aware that I'm doing an old pattern, I instantly detach, and I'll disconnect from that situation or that person, and I'll step back and I'll reflect to say, okay, let me get some clarity on why I'm doing this again. You know what I'm saying? And so when I get clarity, then I begin to understand